everybody can go which way here, but does Orisa get shown up? That's the question, and that's exactly what we might be seeing here in the next couple of seconds. I know Ramatra did get banned out to start, so that is one of the bans that are on the board here. So for, I guess, both of them, we're going to see the battle cattle start off.
Yeah, battle cattle pulling out for both teams. It's honestly not that big of a shock. Blinn love running the Orisa. It's not too much of a shock. And Converse, they're never going to say no. Like, when Orisa was meta, it was one of the stronger metas here for Converse. But it's the DPS line and the supports that are all completely different. Both teams going with the Soj, but those dive DPS, very different.
So we start off the night market here looking to see, or well, I guess you could say almost dawn market, if you will, because that sun's kind of setting down a little bit. But they will start off at least just trying to find opening picks. Already you can see a couple of percentages of Look, it's already up to 30%, stunning out with a spear. And this is Garchomp falling oh so low, needing to find some health, but where you gotta find it. Arlington still, Kiwi's gotta protect each other right now based on the dive, and Haluk's gonna go down. Garchomp finds the way back down to the grave as well, as Blinn finds the way to get percentages, but we're still not done yet, because Hammer's found two. Converse can try to flip this, and at the very first point, it looks like they might, but they'll still try to contest this out. Lucio onto the point, it'll be Kiriko as well as a Genji deflecting out, but that deflecting Genji can only last so long when both of your healers are dead. As soon as Blinn gets it, Converse gets it back.
Yeah, just 15% for Blinn that time around, and that's basically, yes, even though the tank dies, you still have that pop-off ability. That's what Hammer really has to do, because yes, they have more experience than it's Joey on the hit scan, especially in these type of events, they just do. So they need to bank off of that if you are Converse. You need to utilize the seniority that you have on that role, because like you said, both teams very veteran, they've both been along for a very long time, but it's those kind of moments that need to count.
Well, the moments are going to keep coming here, at least for Blinn's side. Buccaneers are going to find two. That's both Garchomp and still Kiwi down. And you do have ultimates available for Orbital Ray as well as Pulse Bomb, but do you decide to use it? Orion's going to use it. That Pulse Bomb goes wide. Arlington dies with the Orbital Ray, so the decision here from Converse, hold on to it while Blinn takes over.
Blinn flip it around, and yes, because they are able to build up the Kitsune Rush, which obviously Converse not running the Kiriko right now. It's a little bit of a risk, but I don't mind it still, because they're more banking off of, hey, still Kiwi, they have the packs that they can throw onto Orion when they're on the flank, and that's a way they can deal with Sky Sniper. But now going as next fight, well, if you get Hunch, that's a great way to start fight.
That's a great way to start.
Great way.
You get rid of the Kiriko. So now, I mean, if you're Blinn, your only reliance on is a sound barrier if you want to continue this fight. But what's a sound barrier with a dead Lucio? Regime's also down now as well. Converse should be able to handle this easily. And guess what happened as well? Converse doesn't lose an ultimate to that fight.
No, because they're able to get that opening pick. And from that point on, they don't need to worry about anything else, because it's one of the most important players on Blinn. All the healing are gone. It's not like Converse to where if they lose Kiwi or Arlanta, they still have a decent amount of healing that they can use. They just have to use it more, you know, they have to pick and choose a little bit. The Lucio, it's like, pray. You know, you got to pray just a little bit that you're in that aura, but that's really about it. Big fight. Lots of ultimates on the board. The thing is, you cannot over-invest, depending on how this goes, or if you're Converse, again, opening pickoff, now they can slow it down a little bit. Blinn need to just relax, I think.
Yeah, well,
but they're not.
Well, they're not. They're going to go right in with the Terror Surge, see if this finds anything. Orbital Ray to counter that out. Pulse Bomb tries to land it. That lands on the Sky Sniper, just trying to get out of dodge, but nothing there either. Converse is going to keep this going, and they're going to find the picks to do so. And yet, they use 3 ultimates, but Blinn comes in with the advantage on 3.
Yeah, because you still take the 2v3 Ultra, and it's at least, it was a quick enough fight for Blinn that yes, they're going to have a full recontest, but they still got to speed it up just ever so slightly. A lot of pressure now going to be on Sky Sniper. It's sorry, you need an opening pick. You cannot get first picked again from Hammer, who's had a brilliant start to this game, and they also have the overclock.
I feel like that's 3 straight fights that Converse has had that opening pick, so you cannot afford another one. Otherwise, things just go to the haste side, and they're just trying to find a way out. It's Joey, they'll get picked off immediately by the hands of the overclock, and a Kitsune Rush is going to come in as Blinn is able to flip the point in the meanwhile, but is it going to be enough? Because at least for the moment, Converse hide it away, and it's able to really stabilize, but now the blade comes out. How much longer are they able to stabilize? It's 78 health left for the Genji, trying to find any desperation healing, but the blade goes for nada, and now here comes Converse all the way in. Garchomp stops the way in to the rest of the point, and this should be Converse winning out this very first point unless Hunt can make some kind of miracle happen, but those kunais do not do enough damage. 179 night market to start for Converse.
What a start there for Converse, and they play that perfectly. It's Joey's the first to pop an ult. They usually overclock. They're trying, like we talked about, they need that opening pick, so they try and play extremely aggressive with that, but it actually backfires because you still got to touch at that point.
Right.
So they actually have most of the team rotate over the point. It's Joey gets left at choke, and like, all right, Converse just run him over, basically. And Hammer's able to get another first blood in a fight. And they use Kitsune Rush Blinn to try and slow it down, try and buy time for its Joey. The Blade doesn't get anything done, and Converse just, they play the time game absolutely perfect during that one. And now as we go over to Gardens for a second round, you can see a little bit of a change here. It's not always the rush cut. We see a little bit of dive, and that's why already it could be the Hazard coming out for Haluk. Hazard not played as much as of late, had some nerfs to his kit that didn't really help, but he's still getting played here and there. It's going to be that kind of joint dive now with Skysniper and Regime really being the taxi for that play.
Yeah, the only nerf to Hazard was that perk patch onto Hazard off the top, which increases that leap slashes damage from 30 to 50%, but still very good damage on the Hazard dash anyway. So
another
Hammer
first blood.
It's Joey
Jesus.
again. It feels like Hammer has been the cause of every single first pick Converse has had, and they're going to take advantage of it. Somebody's got to stop the soldier in some way or another, because Hammer is popping off right now.
Putting the Hammer down. Yep. After that's what, 4 or 5 straight fights. The Hammer has got the first blood, and that just opens up the entirety of the rest of the play for Converse. Like, all right, it's 5v4. They can usually find whoever else was with that opening pick. Like, hey, where can we pinch on the rest of this team? And Blinn, this is a comp that you can't just poke and poke and poke. Like Converse are going to be completely open to do. You need to pick and choose your battles. But with the amount of poke, the amount of sustain that this Converse comp has, it is really hard to close the gap. But look at that. Haluk tries to go in, gets just pinned away. And yes, they have the Arista kind of pinned away, but they're still split. And again, it's Hammer.
Hammer just starts off every single fight. And you know what? Saying probably, stop. Hammer time. Right? Just getting every single first pick, starting off every single fight with a Converse win. 40% and rolling. But for Blinn, they find no answers. Even if they hide in the sidearm, they're only awaiting the inevitable here. They're going to invest the Kitsune Rush, thinking they have a shot at this. Orion is able to find Hutch. Boss Bomb goes a little bit wide, not enough to kill, but they are able to turn this way back. Yes, you lose on Kiriko, but the rest of the team is able to at least give you reinforcements. Converse is still intact, though. They're still able to delay the point just momentarily, and now the orbital ray comes out from Arlington. Is this the turning point for Converse to hold on to it? Because you've got down Haluk, that's the tank down, and you've got Joey down as well. The trade for Hammer is not going to be enough regardless. Converse looks like they're going to hold on.
Yeah, they're in a great spot, especially if they're able to get Hutch. They're oh so low, and they just get out. At this point, you need to decommit unless you're going to go in immediately, and that is the call here for Blinn. Gotta get out, 20% left and counting for Converse, and now the beat to engage.
Beat to engage, but a Terra Search to stop and a knock off the map. It almost was very, very good. Unfortunately for Blinn, it doesn't turn out their way. Samurai comes up for nothing, and again, look at Hammer absolutely popping off, throwing down the hammer, and unless somebody's got a miracle touch here in a team kill, it ain't gonna happen. 179 back on Night Market, but on the Gardens, it's as clean as ever. The Valkyries are up 1-0 in the series.
During this first phase, it is really difficult, and yeah, both teams, they just run the same thing.
Yeah.
And A, respect, because yes, it's not something that either team did wrong, so they'll just go right back at it, and now, yes, each team kind of have an idea of what is going on, and maybe a little bit of a different position. You can already see, Regime and Hutch already rotated over. They're not staying up there, again, they're not making that same mistake.
Are they trying just to see poke each other out? I think they're, I don't know if there was an honor system or not, but
I'm not sure. We'll see.
We'll find out. We'll find out here very soon. As again, very
I don't think so.
Angle from Hammer. It seems like we're just going to fight this out. We're going to restart entirely here. So here we go with another fight. Now that everybody knows each other's strategies here, the question is, can the Genji get to the Ana? Because now that Ana is in the corridor, in the pathway where she should be, which gives you a good angle any which way unless you're looking at main entrance. But regardless, they're not able to find the Ana just yet, and this Ana staying very still, allowing the rest of Blinn to at least poke out what they can.
Yeah, they're really playing this different. Now they're trying to play more around statue. They don't want Converse. They're not giving up all that free positioning. Like last time, Converse just got to walk up on the point, didn't really have to worry about anything. And especially once they got the Ana, it's like, hey, all right, free win. And now, Hutch this time able to defend themselves, able to take out Orion, but Sky Sniper still falls.
But it feels like the Genji still dove right in.
Yeah.
Is it still within the same reasoning to work this out? Because the Genji rushes out too, and a great spear right into the stomach of its Joey. So when you're a build, not good chances that you will live. So Converse finds themselves on the point here. Will not be the 5-minute and 10-second timing that they have.
God.
But Hutch going down right in the middle of the open, and this is why they wanted the Pharah enabled right at the end of it. Now Haluk does get there's no Kiwi, and the nano boost is on momentarily, but is it still enough? Because they give up 2 ticks. Hulk's got to jump on the point here, somebody's got to, and it's going to be the Farmer that jumps onto the point at the very least for right now. They turn this fight all the way around with only 4% left to tick.
It's just a little bit, and granted, this is still going. Primo will get forced. Haluk was so low, they couldn't afford to die. Like, they could not afford to die there. So yes, you would rather have that for, hey, we can engage and then use it as a backup, and instead, you just try and stay alive. Like I said, though, very, very close for that to be a capture. But now just 1 tick needed here for Converse, and they have ults galore. 3 already on the board. Orion's about to get the 4th. Blinn have nothing. They committed so much to that. Maybe it's Joey is able to build up their ultimate here at the dying moments, but this is clear advantage Converse, especially if they get another opening pick with Kiwi anti.
Kiwi is anti momentarily, but gets back to the team and is able to heal up. Does have 4 ultimates available on the side of the Valkyries. May not need much because you've already taken down Haluk. You've taken down Regime at the same time too, and Converse is gonna win this fight clean and without using a single check mark. That is 5 white lights on the board, Jesse.
Yes, that is all systems go. Granted, yes, they got a minute less than what they would have had if we didn't have to reset, but still a decent timing, and especially Streets phase. You could snowball this like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like we've seen time after time, even though like teams like, hey, they'll kind of fizzle out during 3rd phase. If they have the ultimates like Converse do to play around, and they build up enough space here, already pushing past Library, already getting a good chunk of Streets control, they could just roll it. Yes, it's Joey has the overclock. They could shut it all down with 1 simple right click. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure when especially you have Kitsune and Sound Barrier to deal with on the other side.
And a lot more than that as well. You also have just a lot more to worry about, but the Blade is first. The Sound Barrier will follow the Terra Surge as well, so that's 3 ultimates on the side of Converse. Looking to make this a clean fight here. Blinn, Joey will pop the overclock to no avail, but does get a secondary railgun shot
They're bringing this back
to get down Orion. They are able to try to turn this back. A moving barrage from Sky Sniper puts this in a position where they are maybe able to turn this back into a fight where Converse has to regroup, and in fact, they will hold the corner momentarily.
Yeah, they hold for the moment being because I believe Huluk actually died after Garchomp, so it'll be roughly even when the tanks get back into this fight, even though they have the spawn disadvantage. But now for Blinn, again, you just want to play it slow. You want to play it safe. That ult disadvantage no longer as prevalent. You still have Hammer's overclock to deal with, but it's actually Regime that pops ult first.
And look at all the way in the back here. Huluk is chasing.
Oh my God, Hammer again.
Kiwi, but still is able to find 1 pick onto it and finally get the Lucio. But at what cost? Hammer pots the overclock to take down Sky Sniper. Both of your DPSs now down. Soldiers hunting for something in the subway.
The demons.
But while you're searching for something, Huluk is searching for kills, finds both Hammer and Arlanta, and yet again, Blinn turning this fight all the way on a 10.
And that's where Nerdy talked about a little bit, the comms. Nobody was down there. It was Joey was there, but died early. They thought somebody else was down there, so they're going in with overclock thinking, hey, we gotta get this, they're alone, they're alone, they're alone. Instead, they locked themselves and Garchomp in the subway, and it's an easy finish for Blinn. Like, oh, it's a 4v2. Cool, we'll take the other 2 out, and then we'll go to you, because we don't want to deal with an overclock right away. And that was just a little bit of a communication breakdown, I will say, from Converse. Blinn are not going to complain, just under 90 seconds left, and all of a sudden, the snowball is no longer available here for Converse, but the Kitsune Rush is.
Kitsune Rush will start the off
here.
Will get a Tracer, but that's on the wrong side of the board. If you're the Kitsune Rush, that's Orion going down for Converse. So now it's a 4v5 situation. Huluk does have Primal Rage available to you, but when do you want to use it? When do you want to pop? Regime also coming up on 89%, 90% to a Kitsune Rush. That's also the closest one. Sky Sniper at 90% as well. They try as they might. Converse will try their absolute best to push through this, but with 45 seconds left, Hammer gets 1, but they go for nothing.
Yeah, Blinn, I think they're warmed up now. I think they're really starting to flow here. And Blinn are not a team, we talked about earlier, they're not going to be like, oh my God, pop off after pop off. This is a team that goes off consistency and goes off the vibes. Like Hutch, I bet Hutch is screaming up there already. Screaming the comms Regime as well. Both of them notorious for being loud in this kind of scenario. And that's what you need though. It's late. A lot of these teams have been here a long time, and you need to be able to have that consistency, and so far they have that. Obviously, Converse, they have ultimates to work off. Hammer actually off the Soj, now over to the Cassidy, maybe try and isolate Sky Sniper a little bit more.
I was about to say, you have nothing up there besides an overclock, if anything, or secondary railgun shot to hit that far in the air. Otherwise, you are trusting your projectile skills, and I know is the hard thing in a row. Great concussive blast, by the way, to get everybody grouped up together. Orion does land
Pulse on Defara?
But the pulse bomb lands on Defara. That's the strange one here. And now you're going to have a nano boosted Kiriko momentarily here, but that's not going to find you much of anything. Regime's got to make a miracle happen. It does not. So finally, in the limelight of overtime, Converse finds another 90.
And Blinn, if you're there, you lose Nano and Kitsune Rush and Overclock all within that fight. That is a very expensive fight to lose. And it's not great, obviously, for them, but they still have plenty of time. Sky Sniper already. Hey, just brush that off. Already got Still Kiwi. That'll at least stop that advantage, and they'll have to kind of just pause here at this corner, which can be really hard because you only have so many angles against the Pharah. They have the barrage. They have the inverse concussion as well, the major perk, which is just stupid fun. I won't lie. It's stupid fun
well, when you pair
with the moving barrage.
Right?
Yes, it's nuts, and that's a massive advantage because if they get time out when the Suzu is used by Arlington, it's a free barrage. There it is.
Yeah, and a free barrage comes in already, but is it going to be enough? Kitsune Rush just to save everybody, and Garchomp finds a way to get Sky Sniper out of the sky. They get one back onto Orion, but is that valuable enough to you? And Hammer's just trying to hit any shots whatsoever. Takitical TP's in. That was a bit of a risky play, but instead, Hutch finds themselves dead around the corner, but home stretch territory. This could be a long fight.
Could be extremely long fight. Hammer is just going to try and isolate Blinn as they're walking out. They have the Deadeye. There it is. They just want to stall time. That is it.
But they got to touch the point here, 1.12 meters. Deadeye is protected by the bubble shield, but it still might not be enough. Regime Haluk getting there, going down, and it will be Converse finally showing up.
With time.
And with time on the bank. Converse goes uno, dos, adios, completing the entire map on Kings Row. Blinn's going to find themselves a chance with 10 seconds left on differential from Converse.
I will say it is extremely uncommon to cap third when you only have that minute and a half to work with time. And yes, they use the Deadeye, they walk up, they don't get a kill, they almost got one, but that bubble saved two people for Blinn. So maybe would have been a slightly different time bank, but honestly for Converse, considering, you know, they got stalled heavy during Streets phase, it's not a bad time bank to have. Blinn starting to get their confidence, I feel. They're really starting to feel it. I will say, like, Hammer is winning the hit scan duel. Like, that's, I don't think that's far off to say. Joey's at least brought it back a little bit, right? Like, they're not out of position like they were on map 1. They're starting to play a little bit more. They're kind of just sticking to wherever Sky Sniper is. So you don't have that utility, you know, the off angles that the Soj can make. But you're really trying to pound down on Garchomp. They're not allowing Garchomp to take as much space as they did over on map 1. They're trying to at least slow down the attack. Don't let Garchomp allow the rest of that space for Hammer and Orion to take advantage of. And as we go over to the defense, Converse, yeah, nothing really changing. Orion going to stick over now still onto the Tracer, who even, you know, like, they gave Sniper issues on Pharah.
Yeah.
That does not work typically in the Tracer's favor, but that time around it does, and Blinn will not run the dive. They will just match the wrestler because the dive, it can get a little tricky.
Well, no, instead Hulk moves on over to the Orisa instead. So we start off Orisa, start off on the mirror, but the differential here, Blinn's going to change up the DPS. It is a Hanzo Torbjorn start besides this, and Hutch moves on over not onto the Ana, but onto the Moira instead too. So this is completely different from what we saw.
This is something they showed a little bit at Nace, which I'm not totally shocked to see. It allows Hutch just goes crazy. They allow Hutch to do whatever the hell he wants. Look at this. Already back. The downside is you leave It's Joey in positions like that.
Yep, Joey's down, but Haluk is able to find at least Hammer down. So Hammer's actually the bigger pick here,
That's
too.
A big pick.
Because now you don't have to worry about Sojourn all the way in the back. Now you only got to worry about Garchomp and Orion right in front of you. But as Hammer spawns in, Blinn does not take any more space. Hutch is already up inside of the second level. Let's point that out already. This Moira is playing so aggressive. And look, gets down Still Kiwi, so you lose a Lucio. Arlanta's almost up to a Kitsune Rush, but is it going to be enough in time? Because now Orion's down. It's a 2-for-1 trade. But in the process here, does Arlington decide to pop the Kitsune Rush here? Do they feel like they have a chance at this? And yes, they do, because Haluk is down for the moment. So Converse is going to Kitsune Rush while Blinn smartly kites away.
Yeah, they just try and get out. They know, hey, there's only a few moments here until Haluk is back in the fight. We got our tick, obviously would have wanted to, but back up. There is no reason to try and feed into that, and now they can go right back in. They have the Kitsune Rush of their own, and already Hammer's actually the one that goes down first.
So Hammer is the one on the other side of a first pick, and they're going to use the Coalescence here, and that is some great tracking from Hutch. And even though Hutch doesn't get a final blow, that is both support ultimates giving the fight win, and that will be 4 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock for Blinn as they advance to the streets.
Garchomp tries to use the Terra Surge to at least stall a little bit of time. Nada. Gets done. They get burned down immediately, even with that extra health that you get with it. And now, if you're Blinn, like, hey, decent spot here. Going into streets, you have more time than Converse did. You don't have the ult advantage that they did going into this, but it didn't matter. You were able to hold them down on the defensive side. Now you got to find that opening pick. And yes, the Torb is a little funky. Like, it's a little out there, but it's something Joey plays a lot. Not a total shock to see it of Blinn from all teams. But now the Venture as well from Orion. They're going to really try and hunt down Sky Sniper, and there it is.
Well, they find Hammer again, and it feels like Hammer was on the first end of that, and the first point of Lijiang Tower. This time around, Hammer feels like it's on the other foot this time. So Hammer's getting to feel like what it was for Blinn earlier on. This time around now, Converse on the back foot. Rasheem a little bloodthirsty with these kunais, getting 2 down, and Blinn finding themselves in a little bit of a different situation than Converse. They're actually advancing.
This is that snowball we talked about that we thought Converse were going to take with the ult advantage they have, but instead it's Blinn who have really started to build that. Now they have the Molten Core just to kind of fend off here. Garchomp goes over to the Sigma. They're really banking on this poke. They really don't want Converse to close the gap like they have been. They have been playing way more aggressive here on the attack. They're trying just to peel back just a little bit, and they have both support ults if they need.
Well, they don't have to worry about a turret either way. So the first one out comes the Kitsune Rush. Arlanza's going to go ahead and just use only one. That may be the only one they need. They can stop right there because they've got Haluk and Joey down. Sky Sniper to go alongside of it. So big, you could say big win for Converse. Blinn doesn't even get a lot out of it, and look, Joey even used the Molten Core for it. Nothing there.
They got killed literally as soon as the audio cue went out. It's like Molten. It's like. That's just kind of where it went. It's like you get none of the utility. I don't even know if he got any of the Molten Core actually out. So he's just sitting there like, man, all right. So now Blinn, they will counter swap immediately. Sky Sniper over to the Genji, trying to put a little bit more pressure on the Hammer because now they can pair that dive with Haluk on the Hazard, really trying to poke and play. This will be a little bit more difficult now on the Garchomp, but it's way less predictable where these engages are coming from.
Let's see here. They're kind of split up a little bit, 4-1 or 3-2 on either side of the streets here for Blinn. They're trying at a different angle, but Hutch just can't find an opening to even help out the tank here, especially the Hazard. You do have a Coalescence available to you, but you're not using it, even though there's a Tectonic Shock. Now you're just using it out of desperation to heal the team. So now is this still going to be enough? Regime does take down Orion, at least to counter out what was a tragic first pick, but they're still fighting over this point as they do now find the overclock right in their faces from Hammer. That takes down Regime. That should take down this Hazard as well momentarily. Oh, and what a travesty for Blinn. They might have had that, but Converse turned it.
I don't know if I'm a fan of using both support ults there. I'm not sure if I do. Because yes, you force out a bunch more ults from Converse, right? Like you force out the overclock, the beat I used earlier. It's not a horrible ult trade in retrospect, but I think using both is a tough task. Because now you maybe get a Coalescence. You maybe get one of them by the time OT hits, but you put yourselves in a really rough spot. You're banking a whole lot on it. Or Luke or Hutch is dead, so the fight's over, basically. They're just going to converge.
Well, and they're going to converge kills as well. Orion already got 2 down, and the rest of the team falls. I mean, if you're Converse as well right now, you're getting kills quickly, yes, but are you affording Blinn enough time to build up their ultimates? I mean, yes, they're building up their own as well, but we know that Blinn can turn a fight at any given moment here. So, I mean, the way that this is working out right now, minute left to go, that feels like 1-2 fight maybe territory left for them.
I think for Blinn, you want to just try and build up Blade. If you can draw Kitsune, great. And you want to pair that with Haluk's ult. Even if you get 1 or 2 people stuck on the ground, that's enough for the finish. Oh wow.
Hutch getting bloodthirsty in the back, sucking away the life force of Arlanza, so that's a big one. No Kitsune rush anyways here. Arlanza used it, but where's the gates? The gates do not appear. Killed it right in the nick of time, and Hutch and Haluk are gonna find so many picks here that Blinn finally finds light.
Able to get through. There should be with this. That's a great stall from Orion.
From a venture. With the non-burrowed venture.
Yeah, the non-burrow part is the key part there, because the burrow is annoying. But they're able to stall it a little bit. There will be another touch here from Converse. Yes, you don't have your venture. They will have the ult when they get back, but you're going to have Beats and Garchomp ult to really try and push into this and stop it right here.
Oh, here comes the Kitsune rush alongside a couple of swings of the blade. Down mirror out just to make sure
shuts down blade.
Blade isn't good enough, and in the Gravitic Flux, it won't be, because that is 2 kills on the overclock. 1 for the Gravitic Flux. No miracles happening here. Converse is gonna send themselves to match point and maybe even playoff point. For the point that Blinn needs to make here, they need to make sure that if Hutch, like you said, Hutch gotta put somebody on aggressive and maybe get a 3rd DPS out of it. Yeah, hey, you just never know, especially with a map like this where for the longest time, it's still to a degree, it was, oh my god, Sigma, 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 it's poke all over the place. It's starting to turn into more of a rush map. Like, China showed, like, you can run the rush, and you can run it very well, especially if you hold on this first point, which is already, like, this map is notoriously hard to push on. Right. Because it's just high ground, free high ground for a lot of the defense, and there's a lot of tough choke points. And that's something that we're probably going to see. I don't mind this here from Converse. They're going with the Bap Zen, the normal poke with the Sigma. But obviously, like, hey, there's no Widow. You still have Hammer on the Soj. The Mei is interesting. The Mei is... okay, but
it's not out of pocket. Like, we've seen it even in groups today. We've seen a few games over on Circuit. ASU were a team that ran in the Mei, and they actually full held Fisher because they ran Mei, but that was a Ram v Ram mirror. This is not that.
This is not a mirror. This is a Sigma versus Ram, and this is a Mei versus Mei, and a Sojourn versus Soldier. But Converse is going to stick to, I guess you could say, Old Faithful on this map with the Baptiste and Zenyatta on their end of the floor. They also have Hutch and Regime on the BAP with the Lucio change for Regime instead. So now for Converse, can you defend this out with Blinn absolutely trying to snipe you out from above, especially with Hutch playing that Baptiste, maybe not a Zen anyways, because the Zen does a lot more damage than Hutch does, unless Hutch is just landing headshot after headshot. But instead, it's just trying to find pokes. But look at the space that Blinn is making.
So much space, because Converse like, yo, all right, we're not the only one running a Mei. It's Joey. This has been a hero that they've played a lot over, especially this last month or two. We've seen a lot of Mei from It's Joey when they're not on the Torb or the Sods themselves. There you go. Oh. Aggressive wall, and able to get Sky Sniper.
Get Sky Sniper out of play. The wall that comes up later, though, is the one from It's Joey. It's not going to make much of a difference based on the amount of health that they have on this board. And now this Mei's just going to disappear by the way of Garchomp, finding a 2nd pick. Converse does give up the space, but they're not giving up that turn anytime soon.
And this is exactly where they want to hold anyway. They want to just keep that space. Orion, especially with it being a Ramattra and a Mei on the other side, they are playing way more defensively. They're playing way more for the counter on how they want to run this. And you saw that there. They just hid that little side room, put up the vertical wall, and at that point, like, yeah, Sky Sniper is ISO, and Haluk is ISO. So at that point, you just try and find one. They're able to, and already, Ant Matrix used, and the pivot just not enough.
Garchomp finds 2, Hammer finds 1. The team's going to melt away, and it almost feels like for Converse right now, for Blinn right now, it almost feels like, I mean, the hope is dwindling. Half the time is off the bank, and you don't even have check marks on the board currently, except for Hutch, who has the Baptiste window, right, the Ant Matrix. But, I mean, that was already Arlington using that early on.
Yeah, I will say, shout out Orion. That was a great wall in that last fight. They tried to rotate over the stairs and completely blocked it off. And now already, Gravitic Flux throwing up. Ant Mage is going to be trying to use to try and keep everybody up. Haluk, though, is stuck.
Haluk is stuck. That Immortality Field was behind the wall, so it gets no effect to it whatsoever. That falls down Haluk, and the rest of the team just goes alongside of it. An excellent Mei wall coming out there from Orion, which forces out a fight, and another fight lost for Blinn.
The gamble has not paid off so far for Blinn. It has not paid off whatsoever. They have given up. They don't even build the Annihilation, Keegan. They have gone over to the Sigma. They've just given up on trying to fight it. And at this point, if you're Blinn, you need this fight to go your way. You have the sound barrier. There is no sound barrier on the other end. The Transcendence, though, you want to try and force early, but you know, it's Hammer, actually, it's Sky Sniper, trying to find something early, but so far, Nothing.
Nothing on the overclock so far, so that Sky Sniper overclock goes for nothing. Joey does have a Blizzard, but Orion has a Blizzard in trade. And already an Immortality field down for Arlington as well. Stunned out of it momentarily, but he held onto the Blizzard just in the nick of time before it could go anywhere. And now a couple of Icicles. Sound Barrier in time to save the rest of Blinn, but not in time to save Joey's life. Hammer does find a way to get 2 on the overclock. At least they're lucky that this fight ended quickly. They have 40 seconds left, but Blinn using almost everything in the tank.
Yeah, I was saying, like you said, they use everything. It was a Venn diagram of males. By the time Transcendence used immediately, B tries to go down. Joey is not caught with it. More composition swaps. Regime over to the Zen for that Discord. Sniper over to the Genji. Joey back over to the Soch. And then he plays super aggressive. And it's perfect.
It's perfect through the window and through the wall. Hammer finds 3 there. Final blow for the 4th comes from Still Kiwi, and it feels like the final moments. The funeral march is on. Sky Sniper down there as well, and the Valkyries stay up top. The ship has sunk on Blinn so far because they are stuck at 68 meters, and unless they can full hold Converse, this does not feel like Blinn goes any farther.
No, this is rough for Blinn as they take the gamble, right? They ban Widow. They don't allow the Widow duel to happen. Juno is the man on the other side. And they're like, hey, we can try and play the rush game. And Converse, again, they just dissect everything Blinn tries to do. In that last play, that's great, like, acknowledgement from Converse. Like, yo, I mean, like, hey, there is only 30 seconds left. Let's just push. Go in with the A-Matrix, catch them when they're trying to engage, when they're trying to regroup, probably fight planning still at that point. And already it's like, hey, we're just going to catch you there, able to get 2, and that was just perfect from Converse. And now they can kind of just play whatever they want, to be honest with you. They don't need to play a perfect comp immediately. They have time to swap some things around, and it's for Blinn. You need to pretty much play a near perfect Overwatch because you're not going to hold on that first corner, right? Like, it's just, it's nearly impossible. You can't even hold at the very end of first phases where a lot of times teams get stuck. It's like halfway around that U-turn.
Yeah.
And that's just so difficult for Blinn, especially just Converse. They have all the momentum imaginable right now.
Yeah, and right now, at least for Blinn, it seems like options are just running out.
There's none. There is none.
I mean, it's okay. It's not impossible because there's still possibilities that you can hold on to this point, that you can defend this point, but they are going to have to defend close. They are going to have to defend, like, this is Havana first point right underneath the gasoline station, because this first corner makes it oh so important right now as they are just trying to find any semblance of a poke. But in the meanwhile here for Converse, again, all they need is 68 meters, and I think if you're looking at the road here, that golden box is within sight already.
Oh my god, what a wall earlier.
And what a wall very early on from Orion. Keeps Haluk right in place, and Haluk's not going to find life after that. It is a quick fight already with the golden box of victory right there. You have to play around the corner.
They have to fight without Haluk.
They have to fight without Haluk. I mean, you're down to the final 10 meters. Now the team starts to fall apart, and the Buccaneers have their ship sunk. It is all the Valkyries piercing their way for the win, for the sweep, and Converse winning the series 3-0 and potentially may have just sent themselves to the playoffs if everything works out the way they want.